Hi, I'm Jim Luff, Marketing Manager for Chosen Payments. Today, in our Chosen Scoop, we're doing an end of the year wrap up, and I'm happy to have Brian Goudie, our CEO, join us today to talk a little bit about how 2021 was and how 2022 might be. Brian, welcome to the Chosen Scoop.
Thank you, sir. Happy to be here.
So, I think I'm going to jump right into one of our main accomplishments that we had during 2021. That was certainly an accomplishment for you and the company as we introduced Rise in 2021. Can you share with our merchants and anybody listening, potential merchants, what is Rise? What's the history behind it? And how does it improve our service delivery to our merchants?
Yeah, so Rise really started in 2019. We at that time, we're using a lot of third-party software companies, whether it was on a CRM, whether it was on our operations ticketing system, underwriting was using third-party services. And we just made a decision. It was really July of 2019 is when we started this with Derek Maxwell. Many people listening may know Derek. We made a decision that we really wanted to control our own destiny when it came to boarding applications, underwriting those applications, which we do in-house. Our operations teams, whether they're in California or Arizona, we wanted them to work off of one software so that whether a call was routed to Arizona or California, the exact same information would pull up regardless of site. And then on the back end, our residuals that we pay our partners, we wanted to take that all in-house and create this ecosystem that we could then continue to build off of. It's really, I would say it's a labor of love. I don't know with the amount it's cost us for 2 years, but the reality is we have spent 2 years building this out. We released it in June in-house and we released it to third parties in September. And now all of our partners use Rise and we're very proud of it. And the good thing about it, as anybody watching who's in software knows, the worst day, hopefully, of the software that you produce is the day you send it out the door, because you should be doing sprints and doing upgrades every 2 or 3 weeks, which we do. We release sprints to new services and new functionality on Rise every 3 weeks. So when we're talking a year from now, Jim, Rise will be something else that'll have all kinds of feature functionality to it. So that's the fun part, is being able to control what's most prioritized for the company and our partners, and doing that in-house. If you do it with third parties, as you know, your vision may not be their vision. You can't force your priorities to go to the top of their stack, but you can when you do it in-house. So it's been a great success so far, and it's going to be really amazing to see how it develops in 2022.
One of the things that you mentioned was our own in-house underwriting. And I know that particularly new merchants don't really understand what the underwriting process is or how important that is to us in onboarding new merchants. So can you take a moment to explain the underwriting process and how underwriting in-house is a benefit to our brand new merchants?
I'm chuckling in my head because I've had a few calls with some of our merchants recently so we have part of our portfolio that we send to third parties. A lot of our legacy accounts are on third party platforms, if you will, underwriting platforms and credit risk platforms. So sort of in that same theme of Rise, when I arrived in 2017, one of the first things I wanted to do was create what's called a FSP platform, full service provider platform. And one of the key parts of that is controlling underwriting and risk management of the accounts in-house. So to your point, I think, and I remember selling merchants back in 1995, and I would ask for social security numbers, and they would say, "Why do you need that? I run a pizza shop. The hell do you need my social security number for?" And I explained to them that basically we're acquiring your transactions so that you can get paid by MasterCard, Visa immediately. And if anything goes wrong with those transactions, let's say you go out of business and you're a furniture store and you still have $200,000 worth of open orders. Well, if I'm the person who ordered the furniture, I'm calling American Express or MasterCard to say, "I paid for this furniture, never got it." If the furniture store can't pay, that's called a chargeback. If the furniture store can't pay the chargebacks, Aurora is next on the hook if you own the paper, so to speak. So I wanted to own the paper. I wanted for it to be us underwriting it. So where it's really important, as much as on the underwriting side, is on the back end. If you think about a year like 2020, where COVID hits and there's hotels and lodging and anything where you're paying in advance for some kind of a service or a product, a lot of those businesses were scrutinized differently. We have in our portfolio, as you know, Jim, a lot of transportation clients, and even transportation clients were viewed differently. Everybody from a risk perspective got tight, very tight. There were bad things going on 2020. And what there was a great client of ours in Massachusetts who I spent a lot of time with and learned a lot from a situation where his money was being held. It was on another entity's platform. But I said to him, if I could do it over again, I wish your account was on our FSP, because you would be calling me and I would be your one throat to choke, because I would get to make the decision to release that money or not. And next door to me here in Arizona is Alan Gibbon, who runs our underwriting and credit team. So it's again, on our FSP platform, we make that decision whether we're going to release money or hold money. So I'd rather it be our call. And even if that means we feel we're justified in holding money, at least we can articulate why we did it, and we're not explaining on behalf of a third party. It's complicated.
Yes, and one of the reasons that I brought that up in my role with the company, I frequently end up with people who are questioning the underwriting process and telling me what a great person they are and they shouldn't be held in underwriting, or in risk management, funds get held. And I believe me, merchants listening, we know when your funds are held, we know that it's not a good thing for you. It's not a good thing for us either, but we're protecting ourselves and you from potential risk with what's happening. So I really wanted to discuss how important that underwriting is. And as you heard Brian mention, we can now handle this in-house, so we can make this own decision and not have to rely on a third party. So this is a really good thing. Also, as we recap the year, I noticed, Brian, that we have quite a few new faces that have come into the company, and it seems like, from my perspective, that we are in a hiring mode and investing in people assets. Is that just my perception, or are you investing in people?
We're definitely investing in people, and it's been, any of the merchants out there can relate to what I'm going to say. It's probably been one of the more unique years that I've ever seen when it comes to human capital, hiring, cost of labor, trying to get labor. My sister runs a couple restaurants in Charlotte, and she employs about 90 people, and it's been unique to say the least. You can imagine, I'm sure, transportation owners, hotel owners, etc. It's just been a tough year. Despite all of that, in growth mode like we are, we have made a pretty big investment this year and will continue to. So development, we talked about Rise. We have a team in Ukraine that helps do that. We're looking to also go into a nearshore development team. We've identified a place in Costa Rica that we'd like to expand on development and technology. Sales, here in Arizona, we started a call center to support association and ISV partners. Today, we've got about 11 folks out there. At the beginning of the year, we had 3 or 4, so I'm happy to see that building. Marketing, we even, hired a guy named Jim Luff, from what I understand. I think that's hot off the presses. Some say we got a little crazy with the hiring with Luff, but we love Jim Luff. He's the mayor, as I said. We were down at Chauffeur Driven in Dallas show, and you were like the mayor. You know everybody. You're kind of orchestrating everything. So figured we better bring Jim Luff on full time. So great to have you too, Jim.
Well, I do appreciate that. It's been a long road. I've enjoyed being a contractor in the marketing department for the past 6 years. And let's see, today when this episode is airing is the 29th. So in 6 days, I will be an official employee of Aurora in my new role as communications manager. And I'm very excited about that.
Does that mean I made an honest man out of you? Is that what happened?
You did, and I'm only going to be working for you and not split so much in my time. So I kind of like that. It's a good thing for me. I would call that a personal accomplishment in my life for 2021. Any personal accomplishments in your life that you want to share for 2021?
Well, I think the thing that, when I reflect back on the year, the thing that personally resonates the most is a visit I had with my mom in May. We did a trade show. Actually, it was an interesting week for 2 reasons. One, we had the first industry trade show since COVID hit down in Florida, called the Southeast Acquirers. That took place in May. My mom is in Virginia. And with COVID and all, I hadn't been able to see my mom in, I think, since it was the holidays of 2019. So I got an opportunity. My brother's a professor at Penn State. He came down and we actually babysat my mom for a few days, watched a lot of Neil Diamond videos, and we had a good time. I was very pleased. My mom's 86. So that was important. My kids, I have kids in Ohio. With COVID, it was tough to see them as well, as much as I had in previous years. So it was a big year for family. We bought a house in Las Vegas in the Summerlin area, which I don't like to advertise too much because a lot of people tend to come to Vegas. And if they know you live there, your life is not your own anymore. But we did buy a house up in Nevada in the Vegas area and love that. It's so far so good. We've been there about 8 months and there's a lot to do in that town.
Yeah, I definitely took note of that you have a home in Vegas.
Yeah.
So, coincidentally, my father owns a timeshare at the Tahiti Village and just called me. My parents are also in their 80s, and my father just called me and said, realistically, we're never going to use that timeshare again, and we need to get rid of it. So we just want you to buy it from us. And I said, well, I have a better idea. Why don't you just inherit it to me? And, when you die, it'll just transfer to me and that'll be better for everybody. But
you're always thinking, Jim.
I think that he's trying to make a little money off of that. And especially now that the new stadium was built directly across the street from Tahiti Village, having a place there that you could rent out to people attending a game would probably be really good. Yes. So the next question I have for you is probably one that every merchant in America is concerned with about where we are today in our business. Are we doing better than we were at previous to the pandemic? Are we doing the same? Are we doing a little worse? I mean, I probably think that nobody has fully recovered from the pandemic, but where are we in relation to the pandemic?
We're fortunate. We added over 6,000 merchants last year. We processed over 10 billion in volume for the first time in the company's history. And this is going to use a Vegas analogy. I feel like, there's always the person at the craps table who's betting against everybody else, the pass and the no pass or whatever it is. Unfortunately, in payments, when there's inflation and the average ticket goes up, that's actually a good thing for us. Our volumes go up, right? And there's more income. So in a weird way, because there's clearly inflation. I mean, we all see it in everything you do out there today. I think partially that's why volumes are going up. I think also partially as a result of the pandemic is just a lot of businesses don't take cash. People weren't taking cash. They were more prone to use a debit card or a credit card or alternative form of payment. And that's also good for us. We're not making a whole lot of money, if any money, on cash transactions. So we have benefited from that. I think the other thing in our portfolio, we have certain verticals that we are heavily vested in, one of which we mentioned earlier is transportation. So as we looked at things like lodging, hospitality, we have a lot of restaurant. We're really Main Street America for the most part, when you look at our portfolio servicing small businesses. Transportation probably took it the worst. Different events or corporate events to go do your black car services, charter bus services too. So we have thankfully seen not all the way back to pre-COVID, but getting very, very close to pre-COVID times. So my heart goes out. I've been to several transportation shows this year and met these business owners and entrepreneurs that are in that space. So my heart goes out to everybody trying to survive out there, but they took it especially hard. So I'm happy to see that volume coming back.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, and oddly enough, we saw a sharp increase in bookseller sales as people were stuck home, and I think a lot of people became avid readers while we are on lockdown. So
and apparently alcoholics as well, because we saw a lot of our liquor stores doing phenomenally well than last year. So maybe that trend.
Yeah, well, when you don't have any place to go, why not? Right?
You gotta have a glass of wine while you're reading the book.
So we're rolling into 2022 in just a couple days. Any big plans for you for 2022, either on a personal level or a professional level? The question's wide open.
Personally, I get my oldest son is going to be graduating from high school and God willing going to some college. So that that is something right now we're getting the college acceptances in. One of the schools sent an email today saying, you will find out tomorrow, which is, I don't think we needed that stress for 24 hours. They should have just made the decision. But certainly looking forward to my son, all my kids, as they grow up to get to the next level of their life. That's pretty exciting. On a company level, by the time this airs or very close, we are at the 1 yard line of buying our own payment gateway. Again, you'll hear this theme about controlling our own destiny. Today, whether we're doing an integration with a vertical software or it's an e-commerce merchant, there's a lot of great gateways out there that we partner with today. But again, we would like to own our own payment gateway and control the transaction and control the software, how that's built. I believe by the end of January, we'll own our own payment gateway. The other thing that I am working with Jolene, I don't even want to say her last name because I'll screw it up. You probably could pronounce it, Jim, but Jolene is a longtime chosen payments employee or employee now. And we've asked her to kind of lead our solution strategy. And what I would love to get to, whether it's things like pay by text or buy now, pay later, or next day funding, we can all come up with a lot of different solutions that small business America needs some or all of. What I've tasked Jolene is let's identify 5 to 7 of those things and let's give them away in a freemium version. When we onboard a merchant or even our existing merchants, let's give them that package to sample for 60 days and see whether they want all of it or parts of it. And then they can opt into those solutions. It's not enough to just run the credit and debit card transactions for a company. We need to bring more to the table. That will be a heavy focus. And as I mentioned, the nearshore team to continue to expand our development of proprietary products. I'm looking forward to maybe doing a site visit to Costa Rica to check out the development team there.
Wow, that sounds awful to have to go to Costa Rica on a business trip. I feel for you. Are you a person that believes in New Year's resolutions?
Absolutely not. I think no. I'm a big gym guy, and I see this whole influx of people clogging the gym I'm at that I know are not going to be there 14 days later. And it's an inconvenience for 2 weeks. But truthfully, my philosophy on that is a little bit like giving flowers to your wife. If you give flowers to your wife on her birthday and Valentine's Day, it's kind of like you're supposed to, and I don't think it has as much meaning to it. If you give your wife flowers on a random day, first, when she gets over the shock of it, I think it means more. And to me, in a resolution, if you're waiting around for January 1st to do your resolutions, I think they're probably going to fail anyway. If you do a resolution on August 16th, because you have conviction that you want to run a marathon or you want to go write a book or whatever, I think it'll be more apt to succeed. So I'm more into daily resolutions than pinpointing a day on the calendar and making them then.
Fair enough. I do make resolutions, and I want you to know that I'm on a continued journey of weight loss. I've lost 56 pounds the last 2 years. I've not set one foot in a gym to do it. And I know everybody out here that's watching right now wants to know how I did it. I'm just going to give you one tip. Eliminate sodas from your life. That's just one thing. The weight will come right off. So one New Year's resolution is to continue the weight loss journey that I'm on. And then the other is I'm a grandpa to 10 kids. And I really want to spend more time with them during 2022, attend more of their sports games, their dance recitals and piano recitals. I think there's probably no possibility that they'll ever watch this video. So those things can be excruciatingly painful to me sometimes, but I want to be there to support them. How about, so we're 2 nights away from today's Wednesday, and Friday will be New Year's Eve. Any plans for New Year's Eve? Big party, anything?
Yeah, actually going back to the Vegas thing and why you don't really want to tell the whole world you live there. My wife's, her in-laws, we actually went to Houston to spend Thanksgiving. She's 15th of 15 kids, by the way. So she has lots of brothers and sisters, and I'm 7 of 9. So just, in our direct relationships, we've got a lot of people that come in and out, but it was decided during Thanksgiving in Houston that my in-laws are going to come to Las Vegas for New Year's this year. So we will have family in town. What we're going to do, I don't know. We're more probably low key, go to a concert or something. But We will be spending it in Vegas, which is not the worst place in the world to spend New Year's. So looking
Not
forward.
really. How many bedrooms does this house have?
Yeah.
I don't really have any plans
The
for
house
New
is
Year's.
called the Venetian. That's where people will be staying. I don't think they're going to be in our house.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up here?
No, we talked about it a little bit. It's been a crazy last 20 months for our merchants, and you have my commitment. Again, my goal is to build solutions and technology that help our merchants run their business every day and grow their business, and we're fully committed to continuing to do that. I wish everybody the happiest of holidays and New Year. And here's the 2022. You mentioned going to your kids' soccer games and dance recitals. So 2 years ago, we'd be wondering if they're going to have soccer games and dance recitals. So there is progress there. And I know it's we're not out of the woods, so to speak, but I feel like the country's made a lot of progress. And from a payments perspective in Aurora and Chosen, I appreciate the partnership we have with all of our clients, and we'll continue to, as I said, invest in helping them grow their business.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us on this last and final episode of The Chosen Scoop for 2021. We look forward to continuing serving your needs in 2022. And thank you for joining us on this episode of The Chosen Scoop. So long, everybody.
Thank you.